Control starts in the mind. Before we can change our words or manage our money, we have to win the battle within. Every action, every word, and every financial decision begins as a thought. If our thinking is chaotic, emotional, or reactive, our lives will follow that same pattern. So if you want to change your results, change your mind, and not just change it, control it. Control your mind like a focused driver steering a car through a storm. You may not be able to control the weather, but you can control how you steer. Most people don't realize how much their lives are shaped by automatic, undisciplined thinking. We react to situations without reflecting. We believe whatever thought pops into our head, as if every mental impulse is true or deserves a response. But your thoughts are not facts. Just because something feels real doesn't mean it's right. You have the power to filter your thoughts. You get to choose which ones to entertain, which ones to challenge, and which ones to release. That's the first step toward mental control, awareness. When you become aware of your thinking patterns, you start to recognize the loops. Maybe it's a habit of self-doubt. Maybe it's the voice that always says, "You're not ready," or "You'll fail again." That voice doesn't come from truth. It comes from fear, past pain, or programming you didn't even choose. But here's the good news. Just because you didn't choose the thoughts that formed you doesn't mean you can't choose the thoughts that will transform you. Reclaim that power. Control your mind by becoming intentional about what you feed it. Garbage in, garbage out. If you constantly consume negativity, whether it's news, gossip, or toxic conversations, don't be surprised when your thinking starts to spiral. Your mind, like your body, needs fuel. It needs inspiration, clarity, purpose. Feed it books, feed it truth, feed it silence. Yes, even silence is powerful. In the quiet, you can hear your true thoughts, your real instincts, not just the noise of the world or the voices of other people. Practicing mindfulness doesn't mean sitting on a mountain for hours. It simply means paying attention. Are you thinking with purpose or just reacting to life? You can train your brain to pause before panicking. You can learn to respond instead of react. That pause, that small gap between stimulus and response, is where power lives. That's where decisions are made not out of fear, not out of anger, but from a grounded place. And when your mind is grounded, your words follow. What you think about consistently, you will eventually speak. Your words are echoes of your thoughts. If your mind is full of chaos, your mouth will repeat it. But if your mind is full of focus, your words will build instead of break. That's why mental discipline isn't just personal, it's relational. It impacts how you lead, how you love, how you communicate. In the same way, your thoughts also shape how you handle money. Financial stress often starts in the mind, not the bank account. It starts with fear, lack, insecurity. If you believe you'll always struggle, you'll act like it. You'll spend like it. You'll chase quick fixes instead of building long-term habits. But when your mind is trained to think with clarity and patience, you make better decisions. You save when you're tempted to spend. You invest when others panic. That's mental discipline playing out in real life. So the mind is not just the starting point, it's the control center. You can't fake discipline in your speech or your money if your thoughts are all over the place. But when you train your mind, everything else starts to align. You speak with intention, you spend with wisdom. You move with purpose. It's not easy. In fact, it's a daily fight. But control doesn't mean perfection. It means awareness, choice, and consistency. Some days you'll feel strong, others you'll fall into old habits. That's okay. What matters is that you notice, reset, and keep going. Mental discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So if you want to control your mouth and your money, do this. Start with your mind. Clean it up, guard it, feed it, train it. Because once your thinking is right, your actions will follow. And when your actions align with your values, that's when your life starts to change. Once your mind is in control, the next area that demands attention is your mouth. Your words, your voice, what you say is not just sound, it's substance. Words carry energy. They can create or destroy, elevate or tear down. And most importantly, they reflect what's going on inside you. If you want to control your life, you cannot speak carelessly and expect powerful results. You must train your tongue the same way you train your mind intentionally, consistently, and with discipline. We often underestimate how much power we give away simply by speaking without thinking. We say things in frustration, in anger, in fear, and those words go out and start building outcomes we never truly wanted. Every word you speak is a seed, and you don't get to plant thorns and expect roses. So when you open your mouth, you're either reinforcing the person you want to become or feeding the person you're trying to leave behind. That's why speaking with intention matters so much. Your words are not random, they're rooted. They come from beliefs and emotions, and if you've already taken the step to control your mind, then controlling your mouth is the natural next level. You begin to see that not every thought deserves to become a sentence. Just because something is true in the moment, like I feel angry, or I'm scared, doesn't mean it needs to be spoken in a way that spreads that emotion to everyone else. Emotion needs management, not a megaphone, and here's the thing, silence is not weakness, silence is wisdom. We live in a world that pressures people to respond fast, to speak often, to always have an opinion. But mature people know that sometimes silence is the most powerful response. When you don't give your emotions a voice right away, you give yourself time to think clearly, to respond wisely. Control means knowing when to speak, how to speak, and just as importantly, when to hold your peace. That doesn't mean you walk around quiet and cold. It means your words have weight. It means when you do speak, people listen. Why? Because you've developed a habit of speaking with clarity, with calm, and with care. Your voice becomes trustworthy. Your tone becomes measured. People stop seeing you as reactive and start respecting you as intentional. That's the influence of a controlled mouth. It builds credibility, consistency, and connection. Another part of controlling your words is watching how you speak to yourself. Self-talk is the most frequent dialogue you'll ever have, and if you're constantly speaking defeat, doubt, or criticism over yourself, your mind starts to absorb that message. This is why the mouth is not just about how you talk to others. It's about how you affirm or attack your own spirit. You can't train your mind to be strong while your mouth keeps calling you weak. There has to be alignment between what you believe and what you say. So instead of saying, I'm terrible with money, say, I'm learning to manage my finances better. Instead of, I always mess up, say, I'm growing from my mistakes. Words don't just describe reality, they shape it. Speak life, speak growth, speak discipline, because once your language aligns with your goals, your actions will follow. That's why your mouth has to be controlled. It's steering your entire journey. And let's talk about how this ties into money. Think about how often people speak their financial limitations into existence. I can't afford that. I'll never get out of debt. Money is always a problem. These statements may feel true in the moment, but repeating them over and over builds a mindset of lack and limitation. What if you shifted your language to reflect possibility? I'm working on my financial goals. I'm learning to invest wisely. I'm prioritizing where my money goes. That kind of language opens doors instead of closing them. The words you speak about your finances influence the way you think about money, which affects how you handle it. Your speech is like a thermostat for your life. It sets the tone and temperature for what's possible, So if you want financial freedom, start by speaking like someone who believes it's possible. That belief, expressed through your words, becomes a mindset. That mindset becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a financial reality. You don't need to talk all the time. And Selfsel, Yoursel, Flusaska to Constant. What you need is the courage to pause, the wisdom to reflect, and the discipline to speak with purpose. That's the heart of a controlled mouth, not silence for the sake of silence, but strategy. You become more persuasive, more grounded, and more in control of your emotions. You build better relationships. You protect your peace. You stop arguing for your limitations and start speaking toward your transformation. And no, this kind of control doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. It takes a willingness to check yourself, to apologize when your words hurt, and to grow from every conversation. But just like controlling your mind, controlling your mouth is a daily decision, one that multiplies your influence and reinforces every other area of discipline in your life. So when you master your mouth, you're not just learning to talk, you're learning to build. You're learning to speak life, speak growth, speak strength into every room you walk into, including the one inside yourself. Because real control isn't loud, it's deliberate, and once your mind is steady and your mouth is wise, your money becomes the next field of freedom. After gaining control over your mind and mastering your mouth, the next essential area of your life to bring under discipline is your money. Because let's be honest, money touches everything. It affects how you live, where you go, what you can give, and how secure you feel. And yet, many people are walking through life with no real plan, just reacting financially the same way they react emotionally, on impulse. Controlling your money doesn't mean becoming obsessed with it. It means becoming responsible for it. It means telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. The truth is, money is emotional. It's not just about math, it's about mindset. The way you think about money is often shaped by your upbringing, your experiences, and your fears. Some people avoid money because they fear it will control them. Others chase it endlessly because they believe it will finally make them feel secure or worthy. But in both cases, the person isn't in control, the emotion is. That's why managing your money starts with managing your mindset. And by now, you've already laid that foundation. When your mind is steady and your mouth speaks intention, your money can follow that same rhythm of discipline. The first step to controlling your money is creating clarity. You can't manage what you don't measure. If you don't know how much is coming in, how much is going out, and where it's going, you're not in control. You're in chaos. A budget isn't a punishment, it's a blueprint. It's your plan for how to use the money you work hard to earn. It's you taking the driver's seat instead of letting your spending habits steer your life off course. But budgeting is just the beginning. It's not about restriction, it's about direction. When you tell your money where to go, you start to realize what really matters to you. You begin to prioritize. You become intentional. That $1.10 coffee every morning, maybe you'll keep it, maybe you won't. But at least the decision will be conscious, not automatic. And that's the difference between living by design versus living by default. Emotional spending is another area that needs control. You cannot let your feelings dictate your financial decisions. Spending money when you're stressed, bored, lonely, or trying to impress others will only lead to regret. That's why mastering your emotions through your mind and your mouth sets you up to make smarter money moves. When you can pause, reflect, and make a clear-headed choice, you're far less likely to swipe your card out of frustration or fear. You stop spending for temporary comfort and start saving for permanent change. Another part of financial discipline is knowing the difference between wants and needs. There's nothing wrong with having nice things, but when nice things start owning you, when your peace, your sleep, or your self-worth is tied to what you wear or drive, that's a sign you're not in control. Financial freedom isn't about having everything. It's about needing less. It's about knowing you can enjoy life without constantly trying to upgrade it for show. That's where delayed gratification comes in. You have to be willing to wait, to build, to grow. Every dollar you save is a decision to believe in your future more than your feelings. Every investment you make is a vote for long-term success over short-term pleasure. And that mindset only comes when you've already put in the work to control your thoughts and your words. Because money flows toward clarity. When you know your goals and you speak those goals aloud, your financial decisions start aligning with your values. And speaking of values, giving is also a part of controlling your money. Generosity isn't just for the rich, it's a mindset. When you have control over your finances, you can give without guilt, save without fear, and live with freedom. You're not giving out of pressure or trying to impress others. You're giving from a place of overflow. But you can't give what you don't manage, and that's why controlling your money isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about creating options, creating peace, creating impact. It's also important to surround yourself with people who are financially disciplined, because if everyone around you spends recklessly, lives beyond their means, or avoids financial conversations, it becomes harder for you to stay the course. Find people who talk about building, not just buying, people who are excited about investing, not just impressing. Because in the end, who you walk with will affect how you manage your wealth. Control doesn't mean perfection. It means awareness. It means being honest about where you are financially and committed to where you want to go. It means learning, adjusting, and continuing to grow. And it all starts with one decision: to stop being passive with your money and start becoming the authority over it. Just like your mind, just like your mouth. Because when those three areas, thoughts, words, and finances, are brought under control, your life begins to move with purpose, with power, and with peace. Now that you understand how crucial it is to control your mind, your mouth, and your money, the question becomes, how do you put it all together? How do you turn these ideas into action, into a life that reflects intention and discipline every single day? The answer is simple but powerful. Do this, and by this, I mean building daily habits that reinforce your values. Think intentionally, harness your words, invest wisely, stay consistent. These are not random steps. They are the daily practices that separate people who live on purpose from those who live by default. Thinking intentionally means you start your day with clarity instead of chaos. It means taking 5 minutes in the morning, not scrolling, not stressing, but setting your mindset. What are you focused on today? What matters most? What kind of energy do you want to carry into your conversations, your work, your goals? This doesn't have to be complicated. Intentional thinking can be as simple as writing one sentence. Today, I will stay calm, speak wisely, and spend purposefully. That small act of awareness can shape the rest of your day. And when your thoughts are aligned, your actions follow. Harnessing your words takes that intentionality a step further. You begin to filter what comes out of your mouth. You ask yourself, is this helpful? Is it honest? Is it necessary? Because every time you speak, you are planting seeds. Are you planting encouragement or complaint? Are you reinforcing your goals or constantly repeating your fears? Your words are shaping the environment around you. That's why it's critical to speak from a place of self-control. Practice holding back when you feel angry. Practice encouraging yourself out loud when you feel discouraged. Speak what you want to grow, not what you want to get rid of. Now, when it comes to investing wisely, most people immediately think of money. And yes, That's part of it. But before you can invest money, you need to learn how to invest your time, your energy, and your focus. Ask yourself, where is my time going every day? Who or what is getting the best of me? Are my daily habits moving me toward the life I want or pulling me away from it? Time is the one thing you can't get back, so every minute you spend is an investment. Every conversation you entertain, every show you binge, every app you scroll, that's your life being spent. Be wise about what gets your attention, because where your attention goes, your energy flows. The same principle applies to money. You don't have to be rich to start investing wisely. You just have to be willing to make small, smart choices over time. Set aside a portion of your income, even if it's tiny. Learn about budgeting, saving, and building assets. Don't just work for money, learn to make money work for you. That's what wise investment looks like, not flashy, not impulsive, but intentional and consistent. Which leads to the final piece, staying consistent. This is where most people struggle. They start strong, but they don't stay steady. Why? Because motivation fades, excitement wears off, life gets busy, but discipline isn't about staying excited. It's about staying committed. It's about doing what you said you would do, long after the mood you said it in has disappeared. If you truly want to see transformation in your mindset, your words, your finances, you have to show up daily, even when it's not convenient, even when it's not glamorous. Consistency compounds. The results don't show up immediately, but they do show up eventually. One day, you'll realize your thinking is sharper. You'll catch yourself before saying something destructive. You'll look at your bank account and see progress you didn't think was possible. That's the reward of steady discipline, not perfection, but progress, not instant change, but lasting growth. Doing this, thinking with purpose, speaking with control, investing with wisdom, and staying consistent, is how you build a life you're proud of. It's how you earn peace, stability, and influence. It's how you take back your power in a world that constantly tries to distract and discourage you. This isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than the version of you that used to live on autopilot. It's about refusing to let life happen to you and choosing instead to lead yourself with intention every day. And yes, it will take time, it will take effort, there will be setbacks, you'll be tempted to quit. But if you commit to the process just one day at a time, you'll become the kind of person who doesn't just talk about change, but lives it, who doesn't just wish for a better future, but builds it. And that's what real control looks like. Everything we've talked about, controlling your mind, mastering your mouth, managing your money, and committing to daily habits, leads us to one powerful truth. Consistency is the secret. Discipline without consistency is like lighting a fire that never stays lit. It flashes bright for a moment, then dies in the wind. But when you stay consistent, even small flames grow strong enough to light up your whole life. And that's the final key, showing up every day, not just when it feels good, but especially when it doesn't. Because in those moments, you're building something greater than a result. You're building identity. People often wait for motivation. They wait for the right mood, the perfect timing, the ideal environment. But real transformation doesn't come from how you feel. It comes from what you do, regardless of how you feel. Discipline says, I'll do it anyway, but consistency says, I'll do it again, and again, and again, until it becomes who you are. Consistency turns effort into a lifestyle. It makes your mindset automatic, your words measured, your financial habits natural. It stops being something you try and starts becoming something you live. Think about any strong, successful person you admire. Their lives are not the result of random bursts of greatness. Their success is built on the quiet repetition of the right actions done daily. They didn't wake up every morning feeling inspired. They woke up and kept showing up. At the gym, in the office, in their relationships, in their responsibilities. That's what separates winners from wishers. Not talent, not luck, but consistency. Now, that doesn't mean perfection. You will mess up, you will miss a day, you will say something you regret, make a financial mistake, or fall back into old thinking patterns. But here's what consistency looks like. You get back up quickly, you don't spiral into guilt, you don't throw everything away because of one bad day. You acknowledge it, learn from it, and return to your rhythm. Because that rhythm, those habits, those choices, those disciplines, are more important than any single success or failure. And let's be honest, consistency can get boring. It can feel repetitive. There are no fireworks in doing the same thing over and over again. But that's where the real power is. Anyone can get excited for a week, but can you stay focused for a year? Can you keep showing up when no one is clapping? That's where transformation lives, in the unseen, uncelebrated moments of quiet discipline, in the choices no one else sees but you. This also means trusting the process even when results are delayed. Progress doesn't always show up immediately, but every time you think intentionally, speak wisely, spend purposefully, and choose to stay on track, you're making deposits into the future. And eventually, those deposits add up. Your life starts reflecting what you've been practicing all along. Your mind gets clearer, your relationships get stronger, your finances grow. And people begin to notice something different about you, not because you're trying to impress them, but because consistency creates undeniable results. Let me also say this, your consistency doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Social media will try to convince you that you need perfect routines, aesthetic habits, and flawless execution. But real life is messy. Sometimes your best effort is just not quitting. Sometimes consistency is taking one small step on a day when you feel like doing nothing. And that's still a win, because the goal is not to be impressive. It's to be faithful to yourself, to your growth, to the life you said you wanted. And here's the beautiful part. When you become consistent, you start trusting yourself again. You stop breaking promises to yourself. You stop starting over every few months. You build momentum. You gain confidence, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you won't quit. That quiet inner strength begins to overflow into every part of your life. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself with peace and purpose, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. This is why everything we've discussed leads to this moment. Control your mind so your thoughts don't lead you astray. Master your mouth so your words build, not break. Take charge of your money so you live with freedom, not fear. Build habits that ground you and then stay with it, stick to it, keep going. That's the formula, not flashy but effective. Not trendy but timeless, because at the end of the day, it's not what you do once that changes your life. It's what you do daily. And when you stay consistent with the right disciplines, you don't just grow, you evolve.